The moment my mother-in-law looked me dead in the eyes and called me cheap in front of 20 people, something inside me snapped, not because it hurt, because she had no idea who she was talking to. Welcome to Velora Revenge, where betrayal always comes with a price. I still remember the sound of crystal glasses clinking around the dining room while Patricia Monroe sat at the head of the table like she owned the entire world. Her diamond bracelet sparkled under the chandelier as she slowly scanned my outfit with pure disgust. A woman in her 30s should know how to dress properly, she said loudly, sipping wine. But I guess money can't buy class if you never had money to begin with. A few awkward laughs echoed around the room. My husband Ethan shifted uncomfortably beside me but, like always, stayed quiet. That part hurt more than Patricia's words, because after 4 years of marriage, he still let his mother treat me like I was some random outsider. I forced a smile and tightened my grip under the table. Patricia, I said calmly, I'm perfectly comfortable. Oh, sweetheart, she replied with fake sympathy. I'm sure you are. Some people get used to surviving with less. There it was again. That same tone. That same superiority. The crazy thing. Everyone at that table thought I needed Ethan financially. Nobody knew the truth. And honestly, that was intentional. When Ethan and I got married, I never told his family about the properties I inherited from my grandfather in Seattle. I wanted a normal relationship. No fake respect. No people suddenly acting nice because of money. Big mistake. Over the years, Patricia made little comments constantly. About my car. My clothes. My job as an interior designer. Even the coffee brand I bought, according to her. Nothing about me was good enough for her precious son. But tonight felt different. Meaner. More personal. Especially after Patricia placed a folded paper in front of Ethan. You should look at this, she said softly. Ethan frowned. What is it? A recommendation? For what? She leaned back casually. A postnuptial agreement. The entire table went silent. My stomach dropped. Patricia smiled at me without emotion. I just think my son should protect himself. These days, you never know people's intentions. Wow. Even Ethan looked shocked this time. Mom, seriously? He muttered. What? She snapped. I'm trying to help you. A man with a successful future shouldn't risk losing everything. I almost laughed. Losing everything? If only she knew. Ethan rubbed his forehead. Can we not do this tonight? But Patricia wasn't done. Her eyes locked onto mine. You should understand, Claire. Women from modest backgrounds sometimes become dependent. That sentence hit the table like a grenade. My face burned. But I stayed calm, because rich people always make the same mistake. They think silence means weakness. I slowly stood from my chair. You're right about one thing, Patricia, I said quietly. She smirked. Excuse me? People should absolutely know who owns what. Her smile faded slightly. For the first time all night, she looked confused. Ethan looked between us nervously. Claire, what are you talking about? I reached into my purse and pulled out a single silver key. Then I gently placed it on the dining table, right beside Patricia's wine glass. You know, I said softly, it's funny hearing someone call me poor. I paused. While sitting inside my house, the entire room froze, and Patricia's face turned completely pale. Patricia stared at the silver key like it had personally offended her. The smug confidence she'd been wearing all night cracked instantly. What exactly is that supposed to mean? She asked sharply. Nobody moved. Nobody even touched their food anymore. Ethan looked completely lost. Claire, what are you talking about? I calmly picked up my wine glass and took a slow sip before answering. This house, I said softly, belongs to me. Patricia laughed first. Not a real laugh. The kind people force out when panic starts creeping in. Oh please, she scoffed. Ethan bought this house 3 years ago. I looked directly at her. No, I replied. He didn't. Ethan blinked hard. Wait, hold on. I reached into my purse again and pulled out a folded document. Honestly, I never planned to reveal any of this. But Patricia, Pushed too far. I slid the paper across the table toward Ethan. Look at the name on the deed. The room became painfully quiet as Ethan unfolded the document. I watched his eyes scan the page, then widen, then scan it again. Claire, he whispered. Patricia snatched the paper from his hands impatiently. The second she saw my full legal name listed as sole owner, the color drained from her face. That's impossible. No, I said calmly. What's impossible is how long I let you disrespect me in my own home. Patricia's lips parted, but no words came out, for once. She didn't have a clever insult ready. Ethan looked stunned. You owned the house this whole time? I nodded. Yes. Why wouldn't you tell me? That question almost made me laugh, because suddenly everybody cared about honesty. I tried to build a relationship without money being involved, I said. I wanted people to respect me for who I was. My eyes shifted toward Patricia. Clearly that didn't happen. Patricia straightened in her chair, trying desperately to regain control. Well, if this is true, she snapped, then keeping it secret was manipulative. Manipulative? That word nearly sent me over the edge. I leaned forward slightly. You told your son to protect his assets while sitting under a roof I paid for. Her jaw tightened. You're twisting this. No, I replied quietly. I just stopped staying silent. Ethan ran both hands through his hair. This is insane. But deep down, I could tell something else was bothering him. Not just the house, the fact that I clearly had a life he didn't fully know about. And honestly, that part was intentional too, because while Patricia spent years judging me, I spent years watching them. Watching Ethan slowly turn into his mother. Watching him stay quiet every single time she humiliated me. Watching him choose comfort over loyalty. And lately, I'd started noticing other things too. Late-night texts, secretive phone calls, business trips that suddenly happened every month. Oddity first, I told myself I was paranoid. But 3 nights ago, everything changed. I remembered waking up around a.m. and noticing Ethan wasn't in bed. When I walked downstairs, I heard his voice in the kitchen. Soft, careful, almost nervous. No, he whispered into his phone. She doesn't know anything yet. Yet. That single word had been haunting me ever since. Patricia suddenly pushed her chair back loudly. This dinner is over. Oh, we're definitely not done, I said coldly. Her eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, Ethan's phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up instantly, and every person sitting there saw the message preview at the exact same time. Including me, including Patricia, including Ethan. The contact name read, Vanessa, and the message underneath said, Did you tell your wife about us yet? The second that message appeared on Ethan's phone, the entire room went dead silent. Like, the air itself stopped moving. Ethan grabbed his phone, so fast he nearly knocked over his wine glass. But it was too late. Everyone had seen it, especially me. Patricia looked horrified. Ethan, that's not what it looks like, he said immediately. Classic. Always the same line. I stared at him calmly, even though my chest felt tight enough to crack. Really? I asked softly. Because it looks exactly like what I've been suspecting for months. Ethan stood up quickly. Claire, listen to me now, I interrupted. You listen. For the first time in years, my voice carried enough force to make him stop talking, and honestly, that felt good. Very good. The guests around the table shifted awkwardly, pretending not to listen while clearly listening to every single word. Patricia looked ready to faint. You're embarrassing this family, she hissed at Ethan. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because even now, she cared more about appearances than betrayal. Ethan lowered his voice. Can we please talk upstairs? Why? I asked. So you can lie privately instead of publicly? His jaw tightened. It's not serious. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. Not serious. As if betrayal somehow hurt less when labeled casually. I folded my arms slowly. How long? Ethan hesitated, That hesitation told me everything. Ethan, I repeated coldly. How long? 6 months. He admitted quietly. A sharp wave of humiliation rushed through me. 6 months. 6 entire months of fake smiles, fake business trips, fake kisses goodbye, and somehow, Patricia still thought I was the problem. Her eyes darted between us nervously. This doesn't need to become dramatic, she muttered. I turned toward her so fast she actually flinched. Dramatic? I repeated. You spent years treating me like I wasn't good enough for your son. Turns out your son wasn't good enough for me. Nobody spoke. Even Ethan looked stunned by that one. Patricia crossed her arms defensively. Marriage is complicated. No, I replied. Respect is simple. Ethan stepped closer carefully, lowering his voice again. Claire, I was going to tell you. I let out a small laugh. When? Before or after your girlfriend started decorating our future together? That's not fair. Oh, fair. I snapped. You want to talk about fair after cheating on me in a house I own? That word echoed through the room again. Own. And Patricia hated every second of it. I could see it in her face. The loss of control. The realization that the woman she spent years humiliating suddenly held all the power. Ethan rubbed his forehead anxiously. Can we please not do this in front of everyone? I stared at him for a long moment. Then I smiled. Not sadly. Not emotionally. Just calmly. And somehow that scared him more. You know what's funny? I said quietly. 3 days ago, I almost blamed myself. Ethan frowned. I thought maybe I wasn't supportive enough. Maybe I worked too much. Maybe I stopped being exciting. My eyes locked onto his. But then I realized something. The room felt unbearably tense. Now, you didn't betray me because I failed as a wife. I paused. You betrayed me because you got comfortable disrespecting me. Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but suddenly, the front doorbell rang. Once. Twice. Then again. Aggressively. Everyone looked toward the hallway. Patricia frowned. Who on earth is here this late? But deep down, I already knew, because 30 minutes earlier, right before dinner started, I had sent a very specific text message, and judging by Ethan's pale face, he knew exactly who was standing outside too. The doorbell rang again, longer this time. More impatient. Ethan's face lost what little color it had left. Patricia looked irritated as she stood up from the table. This night seriously cannot get any worse. Oh, Patricia.it absolutely could. I stayed seated, calmly folding my napkin while the rest of the guests exchanged nervous glances. Nobody wanted to leave now. The drama had officially become impossible to ignore. Ethan lowered his voice urgently. Claire, what did you do? I looked up at him. Something I should have done a long time ago. His expression tightened instantly. That's when Patricia reached the front door. The moment she opened it, I heard her sharp inhale from across the house. Oh my God. A woman stepped inside wearing a cream-colored coat and holding a designer purse against her chest. Nervously. Tall, blonde. Pretty in that polished social media kind of way. Vanessa. The same Vanessa from Ethan's phone, and judging by the panic on her face, she clearly hadn't expected a full dinner party audience. Patricia looked horrified. Who are you? Vanessa hesitated awkwardly. I stood up slowly from the dining table. She's Ethan's girlfriend. The silence afterward felt brutal. Patricia turned toward Ethan so fast her chair nearly tipped over. Ethan. He looked ready to collapse. Vanessa's eyes widened when she finally saw me standing there. You invited me? She asked carefully. I did. I replied calmly. Ethan dragged a hand down his face. Clear. This is insane. No. I said softly. What's insane is lying to 2 women at the same time. Vanessa blinked. 2 women? Interesting. Very interesting. I watched Ethan's entire body tense. Vanessa, he said quickly. Don't listen to no. She interrupted sharply. Actually, I think I should. Good for her. Patricia looked seconds away from a breakdown. This is humiliating, she whispered. I almost smiled, because for years, humiliation only mattered when it happened to them. Vanessa slowly stepped farther into the house, looking confused. You told me you were separated, she said to Ethan. Several people at the table gasped quietly. Ethan immediately turned defensive. It's complicated. That's your favorite word tonight, I muttered. Vanessa looked between us again. Then her eyes landed on me. You're his wife. Yes. And you still live together? Yes. Her expression hardened instantly. Oh wow. Now Ethan looked trapped from every possible angle. Good. He deserved to feel uncomfortable for once. Patricia suddenly pointed at Vanessa angrily. You knew he was married? Vanessa snapped back immediately. I knew, he said. The marriage was basically over. The room exploded into overlapping voices. Patricia yelling, Ethan panicking, guests whispering, Vanessa demanding answers, and through all of it, I stayed completely calm, because for the first time in years, I wasn't reacting emotionally. I was observing, controlling, winning. Then Vanessa pulled something from her purse, a small velvet box. Ethan's eyes widened in pure horror. And honestly, that reaction alone told me everything. Vanessa looked confused. You literally gave me this yesterday. She opened the box slowly. Inside sat a diamond ring, the same ring Ethan told me last month he couldn't afford to upgrade for our anniversary. Patricia covered her mouth. Oh my God. Vanessa stared directly at Ethan now. You told me you were planning our future. Ethan looked desperate. Vanessa, please no, she snapped. Were you seriously playing both of us? I crossed my arms quietly, and then came the moment that truly shattered him. Vanessa turned toward me. You know what? She said softly. I think you deserve the truth. Ethan froze completely. Pure fear filled his face, because whatever Vanessa was about to say, he clearly prayed I'd never hear it. And suddenly, I realized this affair was far worse than cheating. Ethan looked like a man standing on the edge of a collapsing bridge. Vanessa, he warned quietly, don't do this. But she was done protecting him, honestly. So was I. Vanessa held the velvet ring box tightly in her hands while staring at Ethan with complete disgust. You told me your wife was emotionally unstable, she said. You said she depended on you financially and refused to let go. The entire room turned toward me. Patricia's face went ghostly pale, and Ethan, he couldn't even look me in the eyes anymore. I let out a slow breath. Of course. Of course he painted me as weak. Men like Ethan always needed to feel powerful in somebody's story. Vanessa shook her head. I actually felt bad for him. I almost laughed at that. Almost. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. He also told me this house belonged to him. Patricia slowly sat back down in shock. For the first time all night, she looked completely defeated. Ethan stepped forward desperately. Claire, please let me explain. No, I said calmly. I think I've heard enough lies for one marriage. The room fell silent again, and honestly, that silence felt peaceful now, like the truth had finally cleared all the fake noise out of the house. Vanessa looked at me carefully. I swear I didn't know the truth. I believe you, I replied, and surprisingly, I did, because the real problem standing in front of me had never been Vanessa. It was Ethan. The man who let his mother disrespect me for years. The man who smiled in my face while building a second relationship behind my back. The man who thought I'd never find out. Ethan's voice cracked slightly. Claire, we can fix this. That sentence almost felt insulting. Fix this? After 6 months of betrayal? After humiliating me in my own home? After turning me into a joke while pretending to love me? I looked directly at him. You lost me long before tonight. His face completely fell, and for a split second, I finally saw it. Real regret. Not regret for cheating. Regret for getting caught. Patricia suddenly stood up again, trying to regain control one last time. Claire, she said stiffly, There's no reason to destroy an entire marriage over mistakes. I stared at her in disbelief. Mistakes? I repeated softly. Then I smiled, a cold, exhausted smile. You spent years treating me like I was beneath your family. Meanwhile, your son was lying to everyone in this room. Patricia looked away immediately, because deep down, she knew I was right. I walked toward the hallway table, calmly, and grabbed a manila folder, the same folder I'd prepared days ago after hearing Ethan's late-night phone call. His eyes widened instantly when he saw it. Claire. Inside were divorce papers, already signed, already finalized on my end. I handed them directly to him. You wanted protection for your assets, right? I said quietly, glancing at Patricia. Now you can both relax. Nobody spoke. Ethan stared at the papers like his entire world had just cracked open. And maybe it had, because some men never think consequences are real until the woman they underestimated finally walks away. I grabbed my coat slowly. Vanessa stepped aside silently. Near the front door, even she looked emotionally drained now. Before leaving, I turned back one final time. You know the saddest part? I said softly. Ethan looked up at me with red eyes. You could have had a loyal wife, a peaceful life, and a real future. I paused. But you traded all of it for ego and lies. Then I looked at Patricia, and you lost the only woman who ever truly respected this family. Neither of them had a response, because there wasn't one. I opened the front door, letting the cold night air rush inside, and for the first time in years, I felt free. Welcome to Velora Revenge, I said softly, where betrayal always comes with a price. Then I walked away without looking back. What do you think about this situation? Let me know in the comments.